Have you heard the news? The new Twitter alternative is here. That's right, Threads was just released, and we've spent some time here going through the platform, trying out all the features, figuring out what we like, what we don't like about the app, and more. So Hannah's joining me today on the Digital Wrap-Up, and we're going to be breaking down everything about Threads. Welcome back to another episode of the Digital Wrap-Up. My name is Riley, and I'm the host, and I'm the CEO of Hardin Digital and Design. Joining me today is Hannah Carpenter, one of our account managers and social media managers here at Hardin Digital and Design. Welcome. I think it's your second time on the podcast now.
Yes, second time.
Awesome. Well, with the new studio that you're seeing, hopefully we'll have Hannah on a lot more, have Kaylee on a lot more. It's a lot better set up to have multiple people on the show. But like I mentioned, today we're going to be talking about the new Twitter alternative in Threads. It's been rumored and talked about for months, dating back to late fall of 2022, but it's finally here. Today is July 6th, so it was released actually July 5th, even though they teased it was coming out on the 6th, but late last night they kind of just dropped it and let everybody start downloading it. So we've spent some time now, probably a few hours each, exploring Threads and everything that it offers. So we're going to talk about some of the features, what we like, what we don't like, and kind of go from there. So really this is just a initial 12-hour review of what Threads is and what we hope it can be down the road. So starting off, I guess, what were your first impressions of Threads when you finally got logged in and were able to start playing around with it?
Very Twitter-like. You can definitely tell that Meta threw a bit of Instagram's characteristics in there as well. But I feel like it takes all of the good parts from Twitter, open conversation. It seems like everything's pretty positive on there so far, where Twitter has, at least lately, been kind of more negative. So that was definitely a good change.
Yeah, I think especially last night, a lot of it was just people posting and talking about Threads and talking about this new platform. So there wasn't a whole lot to be negative about yet. I've seen some accounts already get logged in and created that, are very political and in that nature. So hopefully that's not something that continues. Hopefully they're able to limit that. But yeah, I would say the same thing, pretty positive all around. A lot of people more just posting and having fun, posting memes, and a lot of memes about Twitter and Mark Zuckerberg versus Elon Musk, and a lot of more just fun posting in the first 12, 15 hours or so. I think like today I posted a thread. I guess people are still trying to figure out what we call post on the app. But for now I posted a thread about today. We'll talk about the number of users and stuff joining, but today I opened it up and it was like every single professional sports team has now joined the app. It was like last night was the hardcore enthusiasts, the social media managers giving it a try. And like this morning, all the brand managers woke up and like, oh crap, we need to be on Threads. And I got flooded with all the different sports accounts. So
I saw a lot of news agencies joining today too.
Yeah. I think it'll be just more and more as business brand managers start jumping on that kind of pushes all that content to you. Only the hardcore people who were really looking forward to Threads probably jumped on last night. I had the pre-notification or pre-download set in the App Store, and then they got the notification to give it a try. So, had to spend a few hours last night messing around with it. But So my first impression's very similar to Hannah's. Really like what it does, and pretty user friendly. Um, Big complaint I think is the size of the text is very small, and there's no option to increase or decrease it right now. So that's kind of one big thing that's been pointed out by a lot of people. But overall, I think it's a really good app, and excited to see where it goes from here. Will it be a full replacement of Twitter? Not sure. With everything that Elon Musk rolled out last weekend with the tweet limits and all this stuff, and just everybody's been talking for months about Twitter dying and it's being ran into the ground. It hasn't happened yet. It's still here, but we'll see kind of what shapes up over the next few months and the direction that Twitter goes and the direction that Threads goes. But let's jump into some of the features, creating an account, how you kind of get onto Threads. So Hannah, talk me through how you go about creating your account. Is it in Instagram? Do you have to download a separate app? What do you do there?
So actually you can get there from both places now, but what I did was search it in the App Store. You have to be careful though, as I found out. If you just search Threads, it comes up with a purple app, kind of with like squares in the logo. Definitely not the right app. It is another social media platform, I guess, one that I hadn't heard of previously.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know if it was out before Threads was announced or not, or if it's more of a copycat app that's trying to get people to download it like Hannah did.
Yeah, it almost worked. But when I actually found the correct app, it's a black and white logo. It says Threads and app by Instagram. The other one changed its bio late last night or early this morning, I can't remember which, to say not affiliated with Instagram. I'm sure a lot of people have made that mistake, is probably what prompted them to do that.
Yeah.
But once you download the app, the correct app, on the main page, it asks you which Instagram account you're wanting to use, basically to make your Threads account. If you're like us in social media manager, you have like multiple accounts on your phone. You just have to select the one that you want to create the Threads account from. Once you do that, it's literally like 2 clicks and you're in, because it will like import your Instagram bio and name and even all of your followers if you want it to. So it's super easy
Not
to create.
Followers,
or
following.
Sorry,
the people
ones
that
you're
you
following.
follow. Yes. Yep.
And if they're not on the app yet, whenever they do join, it will give them a notification and then that you wanted to follow them, and then they can follow you from there. So it's super easy to import everything from Instagram over to that. But since it's more of like a Twitter copycat rather than Instagram, I don't know. Personally, I would have rather had my Twitter follow, like people that I follow on Twitter, to import that list over to Threads instead of my Instagram following. I guess as of now, I would just have to manually look for those people. But I think it's pretty helpful that you can quickly import all of that information and not have to create an account basically from scratch. It's super quick.
Yeah, and you're even able to like directly import your full profile from Instagram, your description, your about, and all that type of stuff. So if you are really looking to keep it just as Instagram, you can. I know like there's people that got off Twitter after all the stuff with Elon Musk went down and haven't been on Twitter since, and mainly been using other apps. So that's just an easy import from Instagram there. And for those of you that make the mistake of skipping the import all following whenever you're going through the initial setup, there is a way to go back and hit see all that you're following on Instagram and within the Threads app on your profile, and then you can still go through and select follow all after the fact. That was a lot of people hit skip right away because they just wanted to get into the app, and then they're like, well, crap, how do we go back and add all the people that we were following from Instagram? But I'm like you in the sense that my Twitter and my Instagram are completely different in terms of the content that I post and how I use the two apps. So that weird integration of Instagram and Twitter into one app is kind of interesting. Still trying to figure out, like a lot of my Instagram is pickleball and more personal stuff. But then Twitter is business, social media, marketing, that type of content. So finding a good mix there and who am I going to follow and what type of content I'm going to be producing on Threads is still up in the air. But for now, just having fun, creating posting about anything, kind of just trying out the app, see if it's going to stick. So very easy, again, to create the account. They're trying to make it as easy and user-friendly as possible so that, they try to get as many people over onto it. And speaking of, how many people are on it, as of, middle of the day on Thursday, July 6th, how many how many users were on the platform?
According to Mark Zuckerberg, they had over 30 million users as of this morning. I think they had like 10 million in the first 7 hours that the app was available. So it's growing rapidly.
Yeah. Like I mentioned, the late last night people were more the enthusiasts and diehard social media people. But now that everyone knows it's out, it's kind of growing exponentially at this point and really taking off. And so, I'm interested to see the growth numbers compared to some of the other platforms at launch, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, how many users they had at 12 hours, 1 day, 7 days, a month type of thing. Obviously, it'll be a little different because you have to factor in, well, when Facebook was created, that was kind of like social media is new. And now there's new apps rolling out on new platforms, social media platforms rolling out all the time. So it's kind of a different dynamic in terms of the people actually adopting social media versus social media is our lifestyle now. And we're going to be joining whatever we can. So,
but just in comparison to Twitter right now, well, you mentioned Twitter has 300 million
monthly active users.
Yeah, monthly active users. So with 30 million on Threads, they're already 10% of the way there in the first 16 or 18 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, it's growing fast, and that's kind of expected, and that's, I think, the reason they wanted it to be linked with Instagram in a way is to pull as many of those people over as possible to help it grow fast, because no other app is like that. Maybe Instagram was like that when it first started if you had a Facebook account, but no, because they were separate. When Facebook or when Instagram first started, it wasn't a part of Meta. So
Meta bought Instagram.
Yeah, so definitely unique in that sense. And I think it's working so far. So we'll see how the growth continues. But
we'll see if it's just like the initial shock and awe, I guess, or if people actually stick around and continue using it as much as they have over the last day or so.
Yeah, but it's different. So there's been a bunch of different Twitter alternatives that have came out over the past few months, 6 to 8 months. But this one, I think, really stands out because, one, it's backed by Meta, which obviously has success with Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp and all that stuff. So they have the background and the success of managing and running huge social media platforms already, and that puts them a step above pretty much every other alternative to this point. But then also, oh man, just lost my train of thought. What I was going to say is that a lot of these other Twitter alternatives were invite only. You had to have an invite code. So kind of like Clubhouse of 2020, where you had to get invited from somebody. You had to have a specific code to join the app. Threads is not that way. It's available to anybody with an Instagram account. So I think that opens it up to growing a whole lot faster than any of the other alternatives so far. And so I think they're just overall a step above all the other Twitter alternatives to this point. So tons of users, really easy to use, looks great, functions great so far. There were some minor glitches, but I think even since last night, those have kind of gone away for me. What are some other things you like about the platform, some of the features and all of that?
I would say just the usability. Like you said, it was super easy to use. It's not like super in depth. Like there's not tons of options on the app, which is kind of a good thing for usability. But also there were some things that I was looking for on there, like how do I find a GIF? And you
Yeah.
can't right now. So I'm sure they're probably working on it down the line, but it sounds like they kind of just wanted to get the base of the platform out and get people on it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they have a lot of plans for future features already in the works.
Yeah, I think timing plays a big factor into it. Like we mentioned, everything that went down with Elon Musk over the past few days, when the tweet limits and all this crazy nonsense over the past 6 to 8 months of everything he's been doing. This previous weekend was kind of, in my opinion, the biggest change that he tried to implement at Twitter. So, kind of perfect timing by Threads. I think it was, well planned out that they capitalized, well planned out within a number of days, but that they capitalize on the dislike and distrust of Twitter over the past, 72 hours or so to launch Threads at a time that people are upset or angry, even more so than they already are at Twitter. So perfect timing by them. So it may feel a little bare bones in the sense of what all can be done on the app, but they just wanted to get people going, give people another option besides Twitter to kind of voice whatever they want to talk about. What other things, dislikes? Is there anything else you like before we get into any dislikes?
I mean, just overall, I like the app already. I didn't really try out any of the other Twitter-like apps over the last several months that came out. Just didn't really have any interest in it, but really liked what I had heard and seen for this app, so decided to download it and have been pretty pleased with it overall. For the dislike side, I'm not sure it's like a dislike, but I think it could improve the app. First of all, like they don't have a search feature. You can only search for other users right now. You can't search for any like keywords, hashtags, like big events that are happening, anything like that. So I feel like that's kind of a downfall because I wanted to find, other people in my niche like I have on Twitter and find people talking about similar stuff. But right now that's not an option on Threads, which I think could be a downfall. It's probably something that they have in the works because I feel like it's pretty important. But
yeah, being able to really search in, it's a discussion platform. Being able to search for people talking about a specific topic is probably pretty important for a platform like this. Whether it's sports, marketing, dog sledding, whatever it may be, being able to search for other people, other people discussing that topic is, very important in my opinion. So that feature not being available yet, I chalk it up to, again, just they wanted to get the bare bones product out there. So give us some time and hopefully it works. And along the similar lines of no search and that type of stuff, hashtags don't work. People at first were trying them out and then asking, do they work? And they obviously don't work. You can't click on them, whether obviously it was done intentionally. Like I'm sure they didn't just overlook, oh crap, we forgot to link hashtags or something. But I think it, again, ties into the search feature, and maybe down the road they'll implement hashtags. Maybe they won't. They have to differentiate themselves somehow between Twitter and all the other platforms. So we'll see. And honestly, hashtags are kind of going away on most platforms anyways, and they're still there, but the importance of hashtags is kind of diminishing in a lot of the different posts or platforms right now anyways. So maybe it was super intentional and they won't ever add hashtags. We'll kind of see there. But are there any other things you disliked about it so far?
kind of in a similar manner, there's no way to message people. So just another form of like private communication in the app does not exist right now. Not sure if that's, in the works or not, but the platform seems to be like a more open communication, wanting people to communicate openly on their threads. So maybe that was done on purpose. Again, maybe just because it's so new, they haven't gotten to that yet. One thing that like I personally like on social media platforms is like the people that I follow, I just want to see them on my timeline.
Yeah.
Right now on Threads, everything is just like one timeline. It's not necessarily people that you follow. I don't know if it's maybe because it's so new and you're not following very many people right now, where it's just showing you tons of other people's stuff that you don't really want to see or care about.
Yep.
Maybe when you get to following more people, those will show up more. But also in the same regard, nothing is in like chronological order. Like I can open it right now and see stuff from 12 hours ago rather than new stuff that was posted 5 minutes ago, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah. And that's how like Twitter, obviously you have the following tab and the For You tab, and it's more what Threads is right now is the kind of more of the For You thread, I guess, where it is pulling in people that you don't follow. But again, as you start following more people, it could shape differently. I know my timeline did start to shift the more I was talking and replying to different topics. So when I started engaging in kind of the marketing, social media conversation, I was seeing a lot more posts about that topic than I was just the random out of left field post. So I think it's very adaptive to what you're discussing, what you're talking about. But yeah, right now I really do think it is just because you don't follow enough people, but they don't want to be like,
there's nothing here to see.
So like if you were on Twitter right now and you only followed 20 people and nobody has tweeted in the past 2 hours, you refresh the tab, nothing new is going to show up. They don't want that to be a thing right now. They want you to be more engaged and constantly refreshing and looking at new stuff, because that's how they get you addicted and that's how they keep you on the platform. So if it was just only people you're following and you don't follow more than 20 people and they haven't posted in 6 hours, then that would kind of be a waste of a platform essentially, and they're not going to keep you as a user. So they kind of have to balance that out as the platform rolls out. Again, I can't even remember when Twitter rolled out and all these other platforms, big platforms now, and what the bare bones product was for them. So, obviously wasn't doing a podcast back then when those launched, wasn't even in this industry yet or out of college or anything. So it's kind of just new to everybody and seeing how it adapts and adjusts as more people jump on. And, and relating back to the direct message capabilities, I think, I don't know. My thoughts are that they put such a big emphasis over the past, 6 months on Instagram. They're doing a lot more with getting people to send direct messages and messaging and having all these other options within the messenger on Instagram, that I find it kind of weird they don't have a direct message option on Threads. I know they're trying to be different. Obviously, you don't want the exact same thing on Instagram on Threads, but everything they've been putting out from Instagram, from the CEO of Instagram, has been about more personal one-on-one connections, sending those messages and things like that. So kind of strange that they haven't implemented any type of direct messaging yet. Again, could chalk it up to just being new, but I'd be very surprised if they don't have some type of direct messaging here within probably the first few weeks or month of Threads being live for people to use. So anything else that you can think of, dislikes? I know the small text was one thing that kind of bugged me once you start actually looking at it, but other than that.
So there's not yet a web option for Threads. It's only an app.
Mm-hmm.
For like social media managers, if you use like a third party, like scheduling, like content scheduling.
Well, that's
platform,
a whole.
Yeah,
The third party stuff is a whole different thing than just having a web browser
Right, I know.
option.
But I'm just talking like if there's not even a web version of it or something to like post, I don't know, scheduling content out, I feel like that's probably, those platforms probably won't adopt it for a while anyways.
Yeah, so the web presence, like if you went to twitter.com, you could load it in a browser. That's completely different than the third-party apps like Agora Pulse, Vista Social, Sprout Social, and all of that. That's with the API key and stuff like that, and pulling that platform into their software. But we don't even have the bare bones browser option yet. Their main focus is right now mobile, and Adam Mosseri said that, and he replying to one of the threads is that they are just focusing heavily on mobile right now. The web will come down the road, but for now, strictly mobile. And that's fine because most people are just strictly using apps on their phones and not actually on their computer on a web browser unless you have a specific reason to be. So that it already sounds like they've already committed to that coming down the road, just not in the near future potentially. So what does that mean for social media managers and all these third-party apps and softwares? I don't know. I don't know enough about the whole back end of that and what will happen and how long it'll take to get on and, start being able to use threads in these different softwares and social media management tools like Sprout Social, Agora Pulse, and all of that. Hopefully soon. I think if they really want brands to be able to use this tool and not just, personal profiles, which there are tons of brands and tons of businesses already on, but for the longevity of social media managers, I think they need to be able to open that up sooner rather than later so that people can really commit more time to it. And right now you have to log in, log back out, and then log in with your brand account if you want to be posting stuff from the brand. So that's a kind of a pain point for social media managers right now. I saw people posting about it last night. So, in the long run, that's not very sustainable for social media managers. And I think they know that. Obviously, you can be logged in to 8 different Instagram accounts. So they know that, but we'll see how long it takes to get to that feature.
So for social media managers, with this app being so new, would you recommend that like our clients start like trying to use this platform, or maybe wait a couple months, see how it plays out, and go from there?
That's a tough one. I would say if you're not on Twitter, if like any of our clients aren't on Twitter, don't jump into this one because it's very similar. If you're not creating content for Twitter right now, don't jump into it yet. But for like, we have a couple of clients out of New York that are, our biggest social media platform is Twitter that we're on, having thousands and thousands of followers on these profiles that we manage. That one's a tricky one because I don't want to abandon Twitter. So like is Twitter going to go away? Are we going to abandon Twitter, or should we shift everything to, Threads? I don't think making a complete like hard and fast stop of Twitter and going only to Threads is the option. If you want to play around with it, great. But I don't think you commit to it a whole lot because the return's not there yet. Getting 5,000 followers versus starting from scratch with 0 followers, because the thing about these Twitter clients is that we don't have an Instagram account for them. So it'd be literally starting from scratch and, justifying starting from scratch versus running with Twitter, where we're still seeing good engagement, good numbers on the analytics side of things. I always recommend trying new platforms. If you get discovered and can blow up and go viral or whatever it may be on a new platform early on, and you can run with it there, that's awesome. And that's part of the reason I get involved early, is to, see the capabilities and see if that happens. But for clients, for businesses, if you want to give it a try it, but don't invest too heavy, or don't invest too heavy expecting huge returns or huge engagement right from the beginning. If you're the giants, like ESPN, Bleacher, like all these huge brands, yes, but most of the clients we work with aren't those big corporate clients. So yes and no, give it a try, but don't expect a whole lot at first, especially if you are starting from scratch with zero Instagram account, zero Instagram following, or anything like that. So
one other thing that I did see from Mark Zuckerberg was how they're trying to, I guess, connect all of the Meta platforms. So like you can easily go back and forth between Threads and Instagram. Mm-hmm. And I think they're trying to eventually get it to do that with all of the Meta platforms.
Yeah.
Where if you want to share one of your threads to Instagram, you can easily do that and share it to your story and easily click back and forth between the apps that way, which I think could be a benefit.
Yeah, and I think we even talked about this last night or this morning, that they allow sharing to story. They don't allow sharing to a post because there has to be that differentiating factor between the two platforms, because if you can just do the exact same thing, I think we talked about like sharing reels on Threads. If you can share reels on Threads, obviously you can download the video and upload it as a normal video, but there's no reels integration within Threads.
At least as of now. Because I was just wondering if eventually they were thinking about doing that.
I don't think they will, because if you make it almost exactly like Instagram, where you can share a thread to a post on Instagram, or you can share an Instagram reel to Threads and have a whole search capability of looking at threads, and just like TikTok where you can just sit here and scroll through or reels, then what's the difference between the two apps, right? So I don't think they're going to do that. Like I said, you can obviously download and upload a video, but in terms of having a native Reels player and native Reels search and all that type of stuff, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think they're going to do that. If they do, so be it. But then it's really just Instagram called Threads.
Right.
And then what, I don't know. At that point, it's just like all one app combined. And then at that point, it feels like Facebook, because you can write 500 characters and you can upload reels to Facebook. So it's like, if you do all of that, then you're combining Instagram and Threads, which then creates Facebook, and we already have Facebook over here. So
it would then be like 3 clones of basically the same thing.
Yeah. And granted, cool, you make more money off of it. You can push advertisements and stuff like that. But in terms of getting users to sign up, you would probably lose out if all 3 of the apps were the exact same, which I kind of thought the same thing when you were able to start sharing and watching reels on Facebook. That's kind of how I viewed that too. But obviously it's worked out for them, and
turned out better than I thought it would.
Yeah, but in terms of reels to this app, I don't think it'll be a thing, or if it is, I think it would be a mistake. So.
And speaking of the advertisements that you just mentioned, I have yet to see any advertisements on Threads. Which is a drastic difference between that and Twitter right now, where there's like a sponsored post every 2 or 3 tweets.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a nice refresher to not see that. I'm sure they'll get around to it.
It'll last for a week or 2. But they don't want to be pushing ads right now. They just want people to be on the app, enjoying the experience. So when they do introduce ads, people are already quote unquote addicted to it, so that then it's kind of just like, well, I'm here, I like it, so I'll put up with seeing an ad every couple of posts. So it'll probably last this way for a couple weeks to a month before they start running ads, but they're going to want to start making more money off of it sooner rather than later, if I had to guess. So
there's, from what I noticed, there's no sort of subscription related to Threads. It does carry over your Meta verified.
Yeah, it's all the Meta.
Yeah, it carries over your blue check marks on your profile if you did the Meta verified for Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll add like a option to subscribe to Meta verified to Threads, or if you still have to go through Facebook or Instagram for that. But yeah, it definitely carries over your blue check mark if you are wondering about that. I was surprised to see so many people actually were subscribed to Meta verified. A lot more than I thought.
Way more than I thought.
And I thought maybe, oh, they're just pushing blue check marks to everybody who creates an account that's linked with Instagram to show that it's a real
That's what I thought too.
Instagram account. But then I checked and I didn't have a blue check mark. So, but I still have mine on Twitter, which I'll probably get rid of. So one of the other features that's in the works, again, the Instagram CEO replied to a thread as the edit button coming soon. I joked about it in one of my threads because I made a typo and it was like too late. People had already liked the post and responded. So I was like, I can't delete this now. So I was like, oh, typos already. Where's the edit button? Kind of joking, but then later on I saw that they actually are working on an edit button. So, you know, what took Twitter 10 years to come up with an edit button hopefully comes to Threads fairly quickly. I don't mind if there's not. I kind of was against the edit button at first on Twitter, and I kind of stand the same stance for Threads, but now that I have an edit button on Twitter, I kind of like it. So I'm indifferent on it.
With all of Meta's other platforms like Facebook and Instagram, you've been able to edit,
but not on Twitter,
as long as I can remember, right? So I'm not surprised that Threads is going to have an edit feature.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they mentioned it coming, so I'm sure it'll be here. I mean, it's still literally less than 24 hours when you get on, even if you are listening to this a couple of weeks down the road. There's still going to be changes constantly as they make this better. I mean, there's changes to the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter constantly too, and those have been around for years. So you might notice some more drastic changes at first as they implement new features, but just keep that in mind that they're going to be tinkering with it, changing things up, giving things a try, working out all of the glitches and things that happen. So it's definitely a work in progress, but it's a really good start. You know, if it stayed the way it was now, I think I would still be on it and be happy to use it. So any other final thoughts about Threads, Twitter, or anything?
I don't know. Nothing else that really jumps out at me at the moment. Like I said, I've probably only collectively been on it for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hours since it came out. But maybe we'll have to follow up with this in a couple months, see how it plays out. But it seems like it's really taking off. And I just kind of feel like with everybody, so like Threads was trending on Twitter last night, which is kind of ironic. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it fired Elon up a lot. Yeah. So it's like I'm almost waiting for him to make some big, like, drastic move with Twitter, like today or tomorrow or something, just to try and draw the attention back on himself. Yeah. But we'll see what happens. But I feel like there's some hope for this platform.
Yeah. This is the first one I've really been excited about. I tried Mastodon for a while and wasn't great, and I haven't used it since like the first week that I had it, but this one I feel pretty good about. So I plan on staying on it, and obviously I think down the road we'll get Hard and Digital on it and probably implement it with all of our clients, but probably have that conversation with the clients first and figure out the strategy moving forward, if we want to do it, if we don't want to do it, and go from there. But overall, great first impressions on Threads. Great platform. Hopefully it continues to get even better, and we'll see where it goes from here. So if you have any questions about Threads, feel free to follow us on Threads. It's at Riley Harden for me, and at 95 Hannah Louise for Hannah. We'll get on there on the Harden Digital for a while. Once we're on there, it's at Harden_digital again, because it pulls over our Instagram, which that's kind of a pain point for me that we've never been able to secure at Harden Digital on Instagram, which we have for every other platform. And now with Threads, it pulls in your Instagram username. So that's a bummer, but it'll be at Harden_digital when we get that set up there. But if you have any other questions, feel free, send me an email, Riley@hardendigital.com, and we can talk there. But really just go out and give it a try. I think it'll be fun. You'll enjoy it. A lot of just funny posts right now. So, and I think that's refreshing for everybody on social media. So, thanks for joining me, Hannah, round 2. And hopefully we'll have you on again in a couple weeks, if not sooner, to talk about some other social media stuff. But if you want to support the show, like always, go to bit.ly/digital wrap up, and you can help support the show directly and help us continue to create great content and put out some helpful information through the podcast. So looking forward to chatting again soon, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Digital Wrap Up.